I commend it to the House.
Essenati Lowley Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I often wondered what Pope John XXIII was thinking when he said it is easier for a father to have children than the children to have father. And one can only assume that perhaps he would have heard a lot of confessions by that time. I'm glad you enjoyed that, Tim McIntyre. The Child Support Amendment Bill has reached its third and final reading, and New Zealand First is happy to support the bill in its final reading. It is evident that our current and outdated scheme for child support payments needs to be revamped and pave way for a new system, a system that is more reflective and representative of how families live in today's world. Family life is changing, Mr. Speaker, and so too are our circumstances. More and more mothers are attaining paid work, and there is more emphasis on shared care. Getting jobs in recent years has been extremely difficult under the national government, mind you. They have made too many promises and never delivered on any of them, I should say. Oh. Well, we're still waiting for the 170,000 jobs, Tim McIntyre and Melissa Lee. And more businesses continue to close down due to National's poor economic performance. Consistent poor performance is not just primarily a matter of weakness, stupidity, or ignorance, but also a matter of miscasting. In other words, National failed to lead New Zealand in the last 4.5 years, and more importantly, 2014 and beyond, we get to wonder what's going to happen. Child support payments symbolise each parent's moral obligation to their child or children. I am somehow disappointed that I was hoping that the 28% was going to be amended to reflect the recommendation I put forward for it to be increased to 35%. New Zealand First is disappointed that that was not followed through. Shared care of a child or children is even more important because it enables the child or children to maintain a close relationship with both parents. This will ensure that children grow up with more stability and consistency in their homes. Nothing that we do for children is ever wasted. Nothing. It also allows families to try to make things work despite their circumstances. The new formula is sensitive to a variety of circumstances, but there are also issues over its complexity which may cause further confusion. It is our view that these complexities are outweighed by its ability to recognise different living arrangements and also the formula emphasis on shared care. This not only makes it fair, but it is also justice for parents who do look after their children and make do with whatever they have. It's about bridging loopholes that have fostered more problems than solutions. This bill will hopefully remedy some of those problems. Only time will tell, given Minister Dunn's flip-flop track record, which gives no assurance for the people of New Zealand. As I mentioned in my second reading of this bill, children who are in care of their grandparents should also be given a fair go. They ought to be recognised as they provide care while parents are away for certain periods of time or because they have to work 2 jobs just to make ends meet. Grandparents' role in situations like this provide added value to the stability and security of New Zealand children or parents whose circumstances force them to seek grandparent support. After all, children are made readers on the lap of their parents and grandparents. If there are situations like this, and undoubtedly there would be, grandparents and other family members who are the primary caregivers for children ought to be seriously considered and compensated for the care they provide. I also mentioned that this bill will close up some of the loopholes that have been problematic since the implementation of our current child support system. Over the years, family life has had to endure many social changes which have affected the way we live and work. In some ways, these changes have dictated to us what we can and cannot do. It is our hope that because this bill aims to improve treatment for families more fairly, that it will lessen the burden of chasing child support payments or worrying about payments being made. Our outdated scheme and formula hasn't been able to keep up, and it should come as no surprise that it is futile in fulfilling its purpose. We are, however, concerned that the minister responsible for the bill did not do his homework in making sure that the current IRD computer system would cope with these changes. Whatever happened to proper preparation and preventing poor performance? We are now confronted with a situation where this bill will be delayed in its implementation in order to allow for the computer system to be brought up to basic standard. Minister Dunn's lack of planning does not constitute inconvenience on fathers and mothers out there who deserve better. The cost of living is rising, and so too are the costs of raising children. I can't hear you properly, Mike Sapin. If you want to say something, perhaps say it properly. I can hear you now, so something I can say to you, Mike, is that it used to be about doing something. Now it's about being someone, isn't it? It is only fair that child support payments reflect the amount of shared care each parent or caregiver have with the child or children, so that they are receiving financial assistance that will ensure the child or children are well looked after. The priority in this bill should be on the welfare of the child or children involved. The fact, Catherine Delahunty, seeing that I'm the one that's actually speaking at the moment, the fact that this bill stands before us today in a third and final reading should open national MPs' eyes to the fact that it is the children who lose out at the end of the day. It is the children who will be affected regardless of the decision this national government makes. These are the same children that we would be protecting from any harm or associated risks that might affect their education, well-being and upbringing. Nelson Mandela said, "There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children." So our children will one day be decision makers. It is therefore our duty to ensure that our children have the best possible start in life. It is our duty as parliamentarians to ensure that New Zealand tamaitis or whānau or children are not confronted with issues or problems that are due to no fault of their own, especially for those people from the electorate of Mike Sapin. So, Mr. Speaker, if implementing the Child Support Amendment Bill improves people's circumstances and is perceived to be fairer and just, then we as parliamentarians are doing right by the future of generations of children. New Zealand First supports this bill. Thank you.
Honourable Phil Heatley.
Speaker, I happily rise to support the child